with Robertson, and I will be presenting my speech on sustainable agriculture. My audience is my brother Colt and my dad.
I'm assuming all of you in this room are familiar with the movie WALL-E. Now, what if I was to tell you that this fictional children's movie is not only a fun way of entertainment, but could be used to predict the future of the world as we know it? Tonight I'm here to inform you on agriculture, specifically sustainable agriculture and its use in the industry today. Now, agriculture is the foundation of life as we know it. Without agriculture, we wouldn't have food to eat, clothes to wear, homes to live in, or even footballs to throw. Specifically tonight, I'm going to cover what sustainable agriculture is, benefits of using sustainable agriculture, and different steps that are being taken within the industry today to kickstart using sustainable agriculture. Now, first off, I'd like to help you gain a fuller understanding of what sustainable agriculture is. In the Cambridge English Dictionary, sustainable is defined as the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. Now, sustainable agriculture, as defined by the Funk and Wagnall New World Encyclopedia, is the effort to raise crops and livestock in ways that are compatible with long-term environmental, economic, and social well-being. Now, in short, all of this means that sustainable agriculture is a healthier way for us to get what we need as quickly as we need it. Instead of having to use different chemicals and fungicides and pesticides, we're able to use different things to get what we need. And I'll cover that later on in the speech. Now that you have a better understanding of what sustainable agriculture is, I'd like to give you some of the benefits that it offers us. With sustainable agriculture, it will allow us to continue on with farming and ranching practices as we have today without depleting the earth of all of our fossil fuels and natural resources. Now, sustainable agriculture also finds environmentally friendly ways of solving problems that chemicals solve today. And with sustainable agriculture becoming more popular, the industry will be able to stop relying heavily on industrialized agriculture. Now, industrialized agriculture, as defined by Data Feast Information Forcing for Industrialized Ag Drake Journal of Law, it's an extremely productive form of farming that relies heavily on chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So what this is saying is that industrialized farming, which is what we have today, depends heavily on chemicals and pesticides and fungicides. Now, with sustainable agriculture, we'll be able to do the same things without having to use these harmful chemicals. Now, not only are there many benefits to sustainable agriculture, but there are steps being taken today to kickstart sustainable agriculture within the agriculture industry. Now, one of those comes from the Sustainable Ag in Funk and Wagnall's New World Encyclopedia. This scenario includes a farmer wanting to put nutrients back into his soil between planting his two different crops of two different seasons. Now, instead of relying on these chemical fertilizers, he can plant cover crops, which are crops that are planted in between seasons. These crops are planted and then they die, which releases the nutrients back into the soil. On top of this, they also cover up the soil, hence the name cover crop, and it's able to protect the soil from weathering and eroding away. Now, another scenario comes from the Advanced and Sustainable Ag, and this would be beneficial organisms. Now, today, a lot of farmers and ranchers will use pesticides and fungicides that are heavily loaded with chemicals. Now, this is good for the plants because it keeps all the pests away, but it's not good for the environment as a whole. So researchers right now are looking into different beneficial organisms such as semaspores and Nosema locusti, which are organic ways of pest control. Now, finally, one of the newest advances in sustainable agriculture brought by the Nightingale's top-performing soil microbes could be the key to sustainable ag would be research of the molecular relationship between plants and microbes. Now, in closing, sustainable agriculture is vital for maintaining agriculture as we know it, as well as ensuring the future of agriculture for future generations. Tonight, we've gained a better understanding of what sustainable agriculture is, some benefits of sustainable ag, such as not having to rely as heavily on chemicals and pesticides and fungicides and fertilizers. And finally, we learned that ag is taking steps today in researching new techniques for sustainable ag to be used more frequently in ag, such as the research of plant and microbe molecular relationships. Now, in the movie WALL-E, the earth was depleted of all life. It lay bare and covered in trash that humans left behind. The atmosphere had the ozone in the atmosphere had holes burned in it from all the use of all the fossil fuels and natural gases. Now, if we don't find better ways of agriculture today, then we will be left with this sort of thing happening in our future. And I'm not so sure that we'd have cute little robots left behind to clean up our mess.